looks like I'm getting... Oh, there we are. We're back. Now I know. Hey, now we're here. Now start snapping.
Okay.
Welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, a show needs an intro. This is that intro. Fisher in the foreground, Sam in the back. My buddy Max brought us some Miller Lights. I'm not too sure why. My rhymes are not too good on a Monday, but that's okay. We got some shit to talk about. We'll get through it anyway. All right, welcome to the Wake.Show, everybody. That was the worst one I've done so far, but at least I didn't go crazy. Last on Friday, I went a little nuts as I couldn't get things up and running, and Chris had to come tackle me with a hug. It was a tackle hug in order to get me situated. Well, good morning, and how's everybody doing? Welcome back from Easter. How you doing, Sam?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm swell. Thanks for asking. We'll get to On This Day, and then Sam's quote of the day. My guest today is an old friend of mine, Max Cooper. I'm excited to have him in here because I love him so much, but I'm also a little nervous because in the last week to 10 days, there has been some important people from my life and even from my past who I've had amazing conversations with, but they've all had this moment of honesty that is cutting, and although very truthful and honest, and them being also right, and just it's like that moment. So Max Cooper in my life is one of those people that have no filter. And so I'm excited to have him in here, but I'm also a little nervous because I have a feeling he's also been watching, and he's a pro, and I have a feeling he's going to have some things for me because he also brought a 12-pack of Miller Lite. So here's what I'm picturing in my crazy head this Monday morning. I'm picturing him sitting down with this Miller Lite going, "Hey, buddy, we need to talk." Poof. And God knows what happens from there. So we'll see what happens coming up with Max Cooper here in just a couple of minutes. What'd you do for Easter, Sam?
I hung out with my family and with my wiener dog Relish, who I miss very much.
Do you guys split time? Do you and your man split time between families? Or does he go his way, you go your way?
He came. We generally do. We'll do Thanksgiving at his parents, and then he'll come over for Easter. So he's been coming over for Easter the last couple of years.
I split time between both families. I was able to get the family and the in-laws. Had a great time. Hold on, should I? Let me come back. There's Roxy and Joey's Easter.
What cuties.
Yeah, my wife is crazy. The good kind of crazy. Let's see what she got on there. You got a bunny to chew on, a chicken to chew on, some oinkies, one of their favorites. Oh, those little fish sticks there in the back. You see that? I love those.
So cute.
They love those things. Are so disgusting, and they love. I love them. That's just from Facebook. This was the Easter Instagram yesterday. Max is sitting on the couch going, "Oh my God, fish! What the f happened to you? Doing a show showing pictures of your damn dog."
You said
love it.
All right, so there's Roxy. You got a nice little shot at, what does that say? "All I wanted was a treat, and Mom made me put this stupid alligator on my head first. How embarrassing, but joke's on her." Hold on, I haven't read this one first. "Because I got a treat."
Aw.
I love it.
So you want to hear something funny really quick?
Yeah.
Morning, actually, I'll show everyone it.
Oh, jeez.
So this is so funny to me.
I'm waiting for somebody to Photoshop. Well, I wasn't. I think it's the great thing about it being live
so
or whatever.
good.
It can come and go, but now that you're making this out of it,
It's
right,
so funny.
So this was Friday's show. Can you guys see that?
That's how it ended.
This is how it ends. Now that look of surprise on my face is because Johnny Torres. We had just did some karaoke, and Johnny Torres did a song from was it Little Mermaid or whatever it was, Little Mermaid, I think. And so I thought in that moment, well, he said, because we were having issues when I was looking at the screen over here, I saw that we were having some connection issues, and it looked like our broadcast had stopped. So I'm sitting there going, what's going on? And then he goes, maybe we got kicked off because of doing that karaoke song. So that moment was a little epiphany, like, that's what happened. Oh my gosh, did they kick us off? And then it just froze on. And so yeah, just wait.
And then the broadcast ended.
And it just so we all made it out alive. We're still here today. All right, Sam, let's go through On This Day and get your quote of the day.
Okay.
Because I know you have to. I got started late again. How you doing, Vinny? Nice to see your name again. Maria, Roger, Chris, Carrie, Jason. Going back to my high school days. On this day, what the? Thank you for reminding me, by the way, that I need to put this on Do Not Disturb. There we go. On this day, we do every single day to help put things in perspective just a little bit, so that when you're getting a little worked up about the news of the day, you just kind of remember, wait a second here. Wait a second. One day, this too shall pass, and it'll just be on this day in history. Pope John Paul II dies on this day in 2005. Have we ever talked religion, you and I? Are you a religious person?
I think we did last week. I think we did on Friday, actually.
I'm sorry that I don't remember stuff.
It's okay.
Let's see if I remember then. You are... Oh, yeah, we did talk about it, and you're not... Yeah, you're kind of on the fence. There may be something...
Yeah, I grew up Catholic, but I'm... Yeah... kind of indifferent now.
All right, so Pope John Paul II doesn't mean anything to you?
I mean, not
it's okay.
Particularly now.
All right. Gorbachev begins his visit to Cuba on this day in 1989. Mob boss John Gotti convicted of murder on this day in 1992. Ponce de Leon discovers Florida on this day in 1513.
Ooh.
It was just all downhill from there. Charlie Chaplin prepares to return to the United States after Charlie Chaplin prepares to return to the United States after 2 decades. I never knew that he left.
I didn't know he left either. And
I didn't know that he was still alive in 1972. Let's find out more. The great silent film actor and filmmaker Charlie Chaplin prepares for his first voyage to the United States since 1952, when he was denied a re-entry visa amid questions about his leftist politics. No kidding. Born in Britain in 1889. Oh, 1889. That was the same year that the Eiffel Tower was built in Paris, completed, and the year that Hitler was born. Now you know. I think, if I remember correctly. Charlie Chaplin first became famous as the Little Train. We know who he is. So, led by Senator... So, he was somebody that was caught up in the McCarthy thing. Led by Joseph McCarthy in the House of Un-American Activities Committee. It sounds like something from Harry Potter. The House of Un-American Activities Committee. You're hereby banned from Hogwarts. Over the years, anti-communist fervor died down in the United States, as did the animosity between Chaplin and the American government. In 1972, Chaplin planned a return visit to America to accept an honorary Academy Award. He traveled first to the British overseas to so there you go. That's that. I didn't know that story. What else? The Sting sweeps the Oscars, and ragtime composer Scott Joplin gets his due in 1974. All right. And you see anything? Anything jump out at you?
I saw, I thought it had something to do with the movie, but I guess there's also something in sports called Red Rum wins record third Grand National. I guess that's like a car or something. I'm
going to go with a horse.
A horse?
I'm going to go with a horse. Let's see.
But that was also in The Shining, so that's why I got confused.
Red Rum. This day in 1977, racehorse Red Rum wins a historic third Grand National Championship. Red Rum remains the most successful horse in the history of the Grand National.
It's a shame that the horse is named Murder.
Well, I'm wondering...
I know that's not the same. It probably has nothing to do with it, but still.
When did on this day, Hans Christian Andersen was born in 1805. So when did The Shining come out?
I didn't think it was... I think it's after that. I think it was the 80s, wasn't it?
But the book would have come out first.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
When was Shining published? 1977. Was it the same?
That's the same year, I think.
So, yeah. So this is whoever owned the horse was on top of things. And
read it real quick.
Yeah, they were on top of that. We're like, oh, I got a great name for a horse. Murder. Or maybe Red Rum was in the American lexicon back then, and everybody was using the term.
Potentially.
All right, so that's our On This Day today. Sam, what's our quote of the day?
All right. It is, success is never final, failure is never fatal. It's courage that counts.
All right, and nice. that was Dr. Seuss.
It sounds like it. John Wooden.
All right. Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome.
By the way, should we be plugging anything of yours every single day? Like when you come in and out, you're like, should people be following you? Can you help them with their, social media? Or is that's what you're doing for Bake More Pies? You don't have time for other people?
I mean, always have time to make more money. So
all right.
if you want to email me, let me know.
Sam or Samantha at bakemorepies.com. All right, Sam, thank you so much.
But if you do want to follow the Bake More Pies Facebook page and
go.
Twitter and Instagram.
That's probably what we should do at this point every single day.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool.
There's some good stuff on there.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Bye. All right.
That was like a phone call.
Sorry. Hey, listen, I've got a guest here, and I can't wait to talk to him.
All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
We'll bring in Max here in a second. Drew, Sean, Dana, Adam, hello, Vinny, hello, and welcome to the Wake.Show. The website is the Wake.Show. It's not the Wake.Show. Oh, Jesus. He plops down a 12-pack of Miller Lite. Let's see. Do I have to adjust the camera? Yeah, you're a little taller than Sam over there, too. There we go.
This show might not be sponsored by Miller Lite yet, but these Miller Lites are sponsored by me.
So Max Cooper, welcome into the studio. He's a good friend of mine and somebody who worked with me over at 97X for a couple of years. Was it a couple of years? Or was that all happened in 6 months and it just seemed like a couple of years?
I think I was there a couple of years, man.
Yeah, okay.
18 months with you guys at least. I think I did promotions before that.
Okay.
And
then he's gone off now. He is and correct me if I'm wrong here, you were a set designer? Creator?
No, we create things, yes.
Okay.
I build stuff with my brother. We have a boss who gets clients. She designs the stuff. We throw it all together and make it look pretty.
Is this still White Trash Wizards, or are you guys onto something else?
It's...
Okay, hold on. Here's a sec. Before he gets into the story, White Trash Wizards was the name of his and his brother's company for quite some time. Obviously, there's a story behind it. Morning, Drew. I love the story behind that company name, because him and his brother are just very hardworking. They're very creative and can make about anything. So they'd be on these different sets, whether it was out in the West Coast or here in Florida, whatever. And it started off as a joke, right?
Yeah, we built a swamp in a warehouse for a home shopping network shoot, and the DP was from Los Angeles.
Okay.
And he was like, "Oh, you guys are White Trash Magic." And my brother was like, "Oh, sir, we're White Trash Wizards." And it was like, if you don't make that your company name, you guys are morons.
Okay, so then you guys formed your own company, had a good deal of success. I know you're not here in the Bay Area anymore. You've transplanted to Minnesota. So what happened with White Trash Wizards?
It's just... I'm proud of where I came from. I never thought of it as anything like degrading or anything like that. If you called me white trash, that was I was from DeLand, yeah. So, but no, now these the mood of the country that we're in right now is I wasn't getting tagged in things that I had worked in. There was just some other people had said some stuff to me, and I fly a Florida flag everywhere I go up north in these jobs, and people thought it was stars and bars, and I had to explain to them that, this is the Florida flag. So it was just time, man. I'll always hold on to that. If I ever do dabble in podcasts again, that sounds a lot better than, most of the stuff I could come up with off the top of my head. So it was political correctness that forced you to abandon White Trash Wizards, huh? Didn't force me, but it was...
Well, you're a cat.
I sold out. We'll just say. My brother was really surprised when I changed my Instagram handle.
You're right, and that's not like the Max Cooper I know. And by the way, it's not selling out, man. I hate going down that path. Or maybe we can talk about what selling out is. But you looked at it as a money thing. Well, I guess that is selling out.
Yeah, no. You just defined selling out, fish.
Listen, if I want to make it easier for me to make money, then I'll have to drop this thing that I love, that's a part of me, and try to sound a little bit more. So did you then start a different company, or did you?
No.
Is that still a thing there, and you're now partnered up with, who is this woman you're talking about?
She is Michelle Gilstead. She has her company's called Props A Go Go. It's pretty much... We've crammed everything that we've ever used on a set into her garage, and now it's unusable. But she basically has all the contacts up there in Minneapolis and keeps us busy. And it's
why Minneapolis? I know you guys were doing a lot of stuff for Home Shopping Network and some of the other infomercial and production studios around here. You went to Minneapolis for a job and then never came back?
Yeah, I did. I went up there to work on season 1 of a TV show that a local production company up there was making called In an Instant. And it was fun. It was a blast. It was a huge learning experience for me and my brother. We got,
What was the premise of In an Instant?
It was
about like life-changing stuff.
Yeah,
turning points.
Recreating bridge collapses, bear attacks, plane crashes, murders, or attempted murders, stuff like that, and just telling the stories of people's survival in these crazy situations.
All right, so a great learning experience, and from there, you the snow wouldn't allow you to come back home.
It was just season 3. Went 2 seasons and 3 seasons, and then at the end of season 3, I'd been away from my wife for 6-7 months at a time for 2 or 3 years now. So I was like, well, if they do season 4, let's just move up here. And at the end of season 3, they kind of got a wink, wink, nod, nod. Season 4 looks like it's going to happen. And 5 days after I moved to Minneapolis, season 4 got canceled.
Of course. Of course. Then you're stuck, and then what?
Now it's just, doing commercials. And there's one of our really good friends actually wrote a movie that actually has a pretty decent sized budget that we're going to probably shoot hopefully later this year. If not later this year, it'll be sometime early next year.
Do you need a guy to play an old mate? Is the storyline about an old media personality who's trying to make it in the new digital age?
We can write a script.
I think it's writing itself every single day. All right, so what brings you by, man? I'd love to have you by the show. What brings you by with a case of Miller Lite?
I have been watching. On days when I don't work, I really don't have a lot to do, and it's cold up there. So unless you're going ice fishing, and radio up there. First off, everyone needs to know how lucky Tampa Bay radio is to have even remotely the shows that they have and the talent that they have. Because when you get outside of Minneapolis, radio is atrocious. So there's, it's a pleasant thing to be able to wake up and see I can put it on my big screen TV. I sent you that picture a couple weeks ago.
It's something I've taken for granted too, being in radio in Tampa for so many years. That Tampa was one of the meccas, believe it or not. You have your New York and LA's, of course, if you want to, or a top 10 market. But Tampa's no slouch as far as a market size. I believe we are 18 the last time we checked. And not only that, but going back to the 80s, Tampa has been known for being cutting edge, where even those in New York and LA are watching what's going on here in Tampa, going all the way back to Scott Shannon, Ron and Ron, MJ and BJ, Bubba the Love Sponge, all the country guys that have come through that have made their marks as well. And it might even go back. It might even go back further than that. But you're right. And I never appreciated while I was in it either, Max. While I was in it and I was a part of it, I'm not saying that I rose to where those names were, but I was still a part of it, for a significant amount of years, over a decade.
I mean, when I moved over here in 2000, or when I got this job with...
You're past one of those. If you're I can't let you drink alone.
Oh, that'd be an alcoholic.
Oh, by the way, I started back into therapy on Thursday, and 2 things that we talked about right out of the box. Well, about 30 minutes into it, alcoholism and bipolar.
Well, these are lukewarm, so you can, it's not going to go down the perfect way, but
cheers. And here's a little salute to the beer that I was a representative for I want to say 8 years or something like that. And that was a lot of fun, and got a chance to experience a lot of cool things that normal people wouldn't be able to experience unless you're in the radio or beer industry.
And that was the last time I drank a Miller Lite because it was free hanging out with you.
Oh, that's right. You're a Bud guy, right?
Yeah.
You're like my brother. My brother Jason. I had a deal with Miller Lite. So I could swing by and just pick up cases and bring them over for family functions, right? My brother would not give a shit. If he came to Tampa, he knew that I would have nothing but Miller Lite in my fridge. He would bring his own Bud Light. He was, well, I don't know what it is about you rednecks and Bud Light, but there's no separating you.
It's turned into Bud Heavy. I went up north, man.
I'm sorry for calling you a redneck. We're in different times, man.
Hey, listen, we talked about this before we went on air. It's different, but, there's still, Sam's not in here to get Danielle at the moment, so...
Okay, so here's one of the things you guys missed. Sam, who is, doesn't work for me, she works for Bake More Pies, which is my partner in this venture, right? And they basically loan her to me every day for about 10 to 15 minutes. So when we first go live, what you see her doing in the background on her computer is pushing out to all the social media and the digital aspects of things. And at the same time, she's got a great personality. She had aspirations for radio herself. And we got a good chemistry when it comes to that kind of stuff. So we have a good back and forth here for the beginning of the show, and it gets it up and running. But then she has to go back to work. So I said to her at the beginning of the show, or right before we went on, I said, You know, it's really weird. I was getting ready to make a comment and I didn't. And now I'm going to tell you what the comment is, and it's nothing, but because of the setup, you're waiting for something like horrible. And all it was is I was flipping on the light, trying to get some light on her, for this. And it was too bright, too white in one aspect and too dark in the other aspect. So I was going to make some comment about her porcelain skin, right? It's that porcelain skin of yours. But I just stopped because I'm like, what category could that be in? Is that a joke? Is that me? Because since I was making a comment about her physical looks in that moment, I stopped. I pulled a punch. And she's like, well, I've said something about my porcelain skin before. That's not that big of a deal. And then that led into, well, it's different because it's just a different time. And a lot of the places where my brain is going now are those old places, in certain moments. So she and I will be talking about something and say it leads into the relationship portion of things, talking about her boyfriend. So that's when I come from, I guess, for lack of a better term, that Howard Stern school of on-air conversations. That is, you're trying to get them to places where they're not that comfortable. You can sense it. And then you start teasing out these stories. You start getting in there, and if you do it just right, you get great moments. And usually in the moments of inappropriateness too. So you're getting into sex lives and this and this and this. But I have not gone there at all with anybody since I've started the new show. And then so Sam or Max goes, well, have you made her cry like you did Danielle? And I was like, what do you... I don't remember. Did I make Danielle cry?
There was more than once, yeah. But I mean, it was never, we were having fun back then,
but that's the
but
thing.
It was just at her expense at times.
But I think I was part of the problem, like so many other people. And because where my brain was, where my focus was, had to do with entertainment I don't say entertainment at any cost. But it was basically that, Well,
it was New Release Tuesday. Once I was gone, and you started sending her out to prisons to talk to people.
Okay, that is true. Okay, that's an issue that needs to be talked about. But it's not in the same category. Like I'm talking about hazing and no matter what. Like it was almost a thing where when I found that weakness in you as either a show partner or an intern, a producer, whoever, when you found those weaknesses, those are the places you wanted to make sure you go to tease. Because that's that great makes you squirm radio kind of stuff.
You know what it was about? I remember now, and I don't want to go too into it because she's not here. But it was when she was between that weirdo boyfriend that we knew when she first started and her current husband.
Right.
And I think the current husband thing was kind of hush hush. And I think that you might have blown that up on the air.
Oh.
I think.
Okay. Well, that on purpose?
I don't know that we
probably not on purpose.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, but I was in a weird place, man. I was in a weird place for like 10, 15 years where, at least 15 years, where my brain, as soon as people were saying something, you're constantly looking for the joke or the out or the this or the that. But it was more times than not, it was in the category of, I don't want to say inappropriate, but like what's the worst thing I could come up with this moment? Where two normal people are joking back and forth, say. And they're keeping, if it's on a scale from 1 to 10, they're keeping it in the 3, 4, 5 range, because it's fun. Where my brain immediately goes to the 9 to try to, I don't know, that's just what it did.
I think it's where we're from. It's not 9, you go to 11.
Yeah.
You try to get them right off the bat, you know what I mean? And like that was how we grew up in DeLand. And granted, all my buddies and I mean, the text thread that was going on yesterday was, my mom was just sitting there laughing at me in the kitchen because I was just laughing. It looked like to myself because I looked crazy just reading this stuff. But that was just the way we were brought up back in those little towns,
So I wouldn't be somebody who would blow up your personal situation if we had a conversation and I knew that it was that personal. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
no.
If I did blow up her situation, then it was because it was an accident and I wasn't thinking about the sensitivity of it.
We were also taking a lot of Adderall back in the day.
Well, I believe it or not, the only Adderall I took was when you were there. You might have been even one of the ones that helped talk me into it. I did it for 3 months, and because I thought it would help. And at first, I was taking it before we go on the air. And by the way, I wasn't doing this recreationally.
No, we had prescriptions, both of us.
Yeah. And so I started taking one before the show, which I only did for a few days, and that was it, because it does change the way you think. And I don't even know if you would even notice it unless you were in certain situations. So being on the air, here's one of the things that I learned taking Adderall about the brain. And when you are on the air, when you're in those moments, it's like there's this cloud constantly swirling that you can't see, right? And when Max is talking and Seth is talking and Danielle or Cords is in here, Chris McCarty's in here, it's like if you guys have those Mac computers, a MacBook, and you put it on that mode, the screensaver, where just those wisps are kind of flowing back and forth. That's kind of it. And you've also got the program where you have that happening, and then like definition, you see words come out of that mist. You know what I'm talking about? So that's kind of the way I would visualize what was going on in my head. And as people are talking and this and that, your brain's reaching up and grabbing references, jokes, directions, references, metaphors, whatever it is. Well, when I was on that Adderall, and also the host of the show, it's not like you could sit on a mic 2, mic 3 and have somebody set you up. You're the setup guy. I noticed like I was sitting there watching that take place, but never reaching up for the reference, never reaching, like it's like, oh, well, that's an interesting thought. But it's too late now. I can't say that now. We're already 5 seconds past that joke, So it did slow me down and get me to focus, but that's not what I need. That's not what somebody like me needed in my job. So that's when I started taking Adderall when we got off the air, and it really did help. It helped me with lists, staying on task. But then later on in the afternoon, I would just get this icky feeling and be easily agitated. And so about 3 months, I went through 3 months of it and then to stop the Adderall.
Well, you remember my weird story with that, where I was taking, because I was getting up so early to meet Seth to start producing the show in the morning, because I wanted to.
So you were taking it as an upper?
Well, I took it for school. I mean, it really did change my grades in college, but when I started working with you guys, I would still take it because I was still going to school, but I would also take it early in the morning because I wanted to help Seth plan as much as he could before you got there, you know what I mean? And I wanted to help out as much as I could, which that was perfect for it. But then I would go home and I'd have to be in bed by 6:30, and I could not sleep because I was on a 12-hour lease. So when I take it and there's always a little bit of overlap there. So when I would take it at 3:30 in the morning, I'm just now coming down off of it at 6. So my doctor gave me Ambien, and I started doing some really weird stuff in the middle of the night that my wife, like, she finally is the one that came to me and she was like, it's not worth it. Like, you might be doing better in school and stuff, but you're playing pharmaceutical, here.
Right. You're every time I hear stuff like that, for whatever reason, I think of Elvis, and maybe that's because, I was young when he died, and I guess that's what killed him, it was uppers in the morning and, downers at night. And that eventually, I got caught up in that, except that my uppers weren't in the amphetamine class or staying on that Adderall. It was just those energy drinks. When it was legal, that ephedra, those diet pills. Ugh. But still, it's still years and years and years of throwing that stuff down your gullet in the morning. Then you try to take a nap at 2 o'clock, then turn around and go out for a happy hour gig, and then try to turn back around and get back down by 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Well, I guess some people can handle it, some people can't. Cheers to that. Yeah. Hey, man, there's plenty of guys that have had the career that I had, and they're still going strong and seem to have all their the mental facilities in order. So
yeah, but they've got like 6 ex-wives. That's cool.
Touche. Yeah, we all got our shit. Good morning, Ray. Ray's one of the people that I've had those conversations I was telling you about, Max, in the last 10 days, who have found the show and are watching and going, there's something missing. And so Ray, he just posted here, Chris, what's on your mind? He goes, I'm going to pop in and do that every now and again, because I just want to make sure that you are being you and not just trying to be something else for somebody else. Have you been do you ever go to Ducky's on Kennedy?
Me? I have not been in.
Oh, you haven't been in town in a while?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's Evan's place, right?
Yep. Evan Longoria started that. He's my very small share now. It's been a few years, but so he's running that place now. And we're standing outside of Ducky's looking at this mural running down the entire building there. And let's say this mural is 100 feet long. Well, the first 10 feet of this is just blocked off, and it's just a picture of a rubber ducky. like you would see floating in a tub, right? Just a rubber ducky sitting there. And then there's a line, it borders itself, and then the other 90 feet is abstract. It looks like, what do they call that? Something punk.
Steampunk.
Steampunk, the reds and the blacks and the crazy abstract for the rest of the way. And Ray, we're sitting out there talking, and he goes, "You see that wall right there?" He goes, "When I'm watching your show, I see that duck. You're trying to be that duck. But I know that the rest of the wall is really you, is really what's in your head. You need to quit trying to be that duck for whatever reason, and try and just let your crazy breathe, basically." And that's easier said than done, because I got a lot of crazy to let breathe.
I agree, but at the same time, I just told you how I sold out. You know what I mean? Like I think there's a certain amount of that duck that you have to have just to be able to prove that you're not completely full of shit at all the time, like I am. You know what I mean? Like but
you're not. We can joke. We can make those jokes. Oh, I'm full of shit here. But you're really not.
Well, and I won't. My whole thing is if you come to me and you ask me if I can build something that I know that I can't, I will tell you that I can. I'm full of shit, you know what I mean? But I will figure it out by the time comes to get it in there. Like that ice, I made an ice carousel for the Minnesota Lottery in January when it was negative like 35. Like when they offered me the job, I was like,
of course I can do it.
If I can find 2 Russians that can do this on YouTube, I can figure this out,
But in those moments, are you really full of shit? Because first of all, let's take a step back. That is most businessmen, okay? Yeah. From Donald Trump on down to you. Every single one of us have said, yes, I can do that for you. And one of the reasons is because we are risk takers. Those people that go out on these kind of ventures, we are risk takers, and we've been in those positions plenty of times before where we're not sure if we can do something. We get there and we can do it. So there's a certain amount of confidence in those moments. Technically, you're right. You are bullshitting in that moment, but that wouldn't make you, I don't think that makes you a bullshitter. I think that you just have confidence in yourself, and even though in that moment you can't show them step by step exactly how you're going to do this, you've been down this road before and you feel confident you can figure it out again. So is that, and millions upon millions of other business people before you have done the same thing.
Yeah, but I guess maybe full of shit is wrong. It is, but I think it is more bullshitting, because it is, it's like at the time, it's like, I have no idea what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have to do a little bit of research and everything that I'm not going to get paid for. But I'll be damned if I show up somewhere and I can't do something that I told you I could do for the price that I told you I could do it. You know what I mean? Like, because in my industry, it's not, and everyone's like this. There's always consequences to you not being able to finish something or whatever. But this is something that is got to get done regardless of weather, light, like all this stuff, because it has a deadline. They have to roll this commercial out at an X amount of days and yada yada yada. So it's a very strange. I'm gonna be gray by 35.
You're gonna be what?
Gray, like totally gray. I've been
gray's in, buddy. Gray's in.
My stress level on some of these builds, especially working without my brother. He's recovering from knee surgery, so I'm not used to doing all the thinking and then building it. I'm used to having to split that up with somebody, and it's the past couple jobs have been a little hectic.
All right. So is there would you like to settle down then? Like, would you, if say a gig were to pop up here where at HSN or something like that, we're like, hey, listen, man, we'll pay you solid. You'll be our head of our, set design and this, and you would settle down, or are you liking making your own way, even though you're going to be gray by 35 and, in an early grave?
Oh, it won't be an early grave. But I don't know.
You'll be gray for a long time.
I would never say I would never work for someone, but it would have to be an exorbitant amount of money for me to go back to Home Shopping Network.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they even still around? Are they still hanging in there?
They got bought by somebody. I don't know who it was, but it's just, there's levels of television and what I do and everything like that. And I've gotten to a point where I'm very happy with the position that I've gotten to, because I got trusted to build a Taco John's restaurant in a closed down gas station a couple weeks ago, and we pulled it off. Like it's cool to see your work on television, even though it's all the stuff in the background that no one knows.
Well, I want to ask you about set design here, because I don't know anything. Obviously, I come from radio. Chords, is thrown out a couple of basic fundamental things at me. I mean, really basic fundamental things at me. And otherwise, I'm just kind of winging it as I go.
It's the best way to do it in life, period.
But I also know while I'm learning some things out here and I'm figuring out some of these things on my own, I also know that there's plenty who have come before me, and there are some fundamental rules of video and of staging and of this and that, and I don't mean, again, very fundamental, very basic stuff that if you keep in mind, you can basically create anything. Like, for instance, this shot right here, I don't know why I like it. I just really like this shot. I like for the podcasting, not your regular television show, but for those that are hosting a podcast.
Yeah.
Because one of the things, Max, too, that I'm doing while I'm out here is not that I'm just trying to figure out a way see if I can hustle and make it without going back to corporate radio or anything like that. Can you, because I believe that not only are we in a time where I can do that, but that everybody can do that.
Yeah.
And so I want to figure out kind of the simplest way to pull off something that at least gives you a little bit of like an interesting, like, I'm in the foreground, like I joke in the song, I'm in the foreground, Sam's in the back, you have the TV back there, you have this long wall that, I'm loading up with color, that Tampa picture, and I just feel like it forces your eye, I don't know, maybe that's what it is, it forces your eye to constantly, or I think it does anyway, go boop, 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 so it doesn't get boring.
Well, I mean, like you said, everything that you got going right now, on that wide shot where you got depth in your room and everything like that, that's usually what you're looking for. But you also got to realize, man, most of the time that we do this stuff, we're designing from the outside in. You're designing from the inside to yourself. You know what I mean? You're working with what you're dealing with or with what you're given already. But I mean, everything that
you mean versus if you and a TV producer and a whatever to sit down, they would design this completely differently.
I need 4 walls that are 10 feet by 8 foot that we can close in, that are reinforced to where we can hang stuff on the walls and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, but this little section that you have in here, like I said when we came up here today, I really like it. I mean, as the show progresses. My main thing, dude, the only thing that drives me absolutely crazy about your show.
Oh, wait, hold on. Grab another beer. But hold on. God bless it. Here it comes. And here's the thing. This stuff shouldn't make me as nauseous. This stuff I should just be like, I can't wait. That's one of the reasons why you're here, is because I knew you were going to point out some stuff.
I don't even know if you can. It might not. Go to the. Here, hold on. Gonna go to your wide. Right there.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about that.
I want to flag that light so bad. Like, just
what do you mean flag it?
You need a solid or something that you can just put over that light so it still hits me, but it doesn't hit that TV.
Okay.
Because that glare
drives you insane.
Yeah. I mean.
Okay, here's my thoughts on that. You're right. You're not the first person to bring that up. So when I stage this room, when I light this room, I don't see that, right? I'm trying to get light here. I like that it's darker on this side. I don't know. It adds a mystery to this. And so I'm looking at the people, but everybody who works here that is in your industry, it drives them effing insane.
It's the stuff like that like you.
Now, but let me ask you something. In the end, in a podcast format and something like that, in the way that the average viewer watches and this and this and this, do you think it pegs other people's OCD? I'm not going to call it OCD, because what I mean by that is we all have OCD in our own areas, like stuff that can get me pinged when it comes to audio and this. You're in this is what you do, so these are the kinds of things that'll drive you insane, because that's one of the fundamentals I was talking about. The fundamental basic lighting is you don't have lighting set up so that's reflecting back off of anything.
Well, I think that the average, if you showed 10 people on the street that shot, they would not be able to see that. But if you showed the guys that work with me that shot, they would be like, oh, get that glare out of there. You know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous,
But in the end, how important is that?
It's all in how you look at it, man. From where I come from, if I set this room and they lit it like that, first off, I'd have a word with the gaffer because he's an idiot. But it's just one of those things. It's like, what are you doing to my set? You know what I mean? Like, why are you doing this? Why can't we work together here? Just move this light a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, what can we do to fix this?
I see what you're saying now about working from the outside in versus the inside out. For me, I'm a content guy. That I'm just thinking about content, and yes, I guess I am obviously I'm thinking a little bit about this set because I've thought a lot about the way that this wall runs. I've set up these cameras purposely so it's not a direct shot onto a flat wall. I want it look like it's running away from me. The TV's at an angle on purpose. It's not just because of the lighting. And like I said, I feel like it sets up for an interesting shot. The big downfall, though, the big thing is exactly what he's talking about, is that glare. Now, for those of you that have been watching for a long, long time, did you even know, have you ever noticed, has it ever bothered? I'm being serious. Just go ahead and put yes, no, yes, whatever. Have you ever noticed, has it ever bothered you before, that glare in the television? Now, this glare today is a small one.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, that's why I had to look for it when I first got in here.
Because we have a big shoot going on downstairs in the psych room, so they've got all the main lights. So I just grabbed 2 floodlights. They're literally 2 floodlights. And then what's sitting in front of Max, which is the only thing that's glaring in the television, is this
little LED.
Yeah, it's a little LED that you're supposed to set up for a webcam. You would set up for your webcam stuff. So that's what's reflecting. But now normally we do have the bigger lights in here and you will see a bigger spot. But have you ever noticed? I never noticed until you just showed it. I've noticed the glare. Drew, I've noticed the glare every day.
It's not just me.
The next guy, Steve, never saw it. Now I'll see it every day. LOL. And Maribel never noticed until today.
I told you. I literally think if you showed 10 people, they would never notice because it's a television shot to them. They're not paying attention to the background and the depth and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like you said, they're in it for the content. But you show it to 10 guys in my industry. And just get that away from me.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Ray's back on May 1st, beginning May 1st. Taco, Tequila, and Trivia Tuesday is going to be happening at Ducky's, and I'm going to be your host. On Tuesday nights, I'm doing trivia out on St. Pete Beach from 7 until 8:30. Now, normally that goes till like 9 because, well, I'm long-winded. But I'll have to break that shit down quick, get into Tampa, and then we're going to do a late-night trivia right here in Tampa at Ducky's from 10 to 11:30 on Tuesday nights, along with tacos and tequila.
Do you remember drinking tequila in Miami when we went down there for that NASCAR race? When you and I may or may not have been escorted out of a bar for knocking
There's that face again.
Knocking over a VIP table.
Okay, here's what I remember. We're in South Beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in South Beach. We were down there for a radio promotion with a NASCAR. I don't remember what.
It was Miller Lite.
Well, I remember it was Miller Lite. Who was the driver?
Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch.
Softest hands in the industry.
So, this was set up for failure from the beginning. Because you and I guess I was following you around. You'd hooked up with some friends of yours, right?
Yep.
So I'm following Max around.
And Jack Bauer from Miller Lite gave me his black card by accident, and you just said, we're using this tonight.
I did?
Yep.
Oh.
We went to Mansion, and we just went to the front of the line because we had a black card. It was pretty awesome.
So that was the name of the club we got kicked out of, Mansion?
No, we got kicked out of some other. You and I were dancing Rihanna's Umbrella song.
God, you got a great memory, man. So here's the thing. He and I are a little on the rednecky side. He's from D-Land, Florida. I'm from Ocoee, Florida. And they're in certain settings where
we don't belong.
Well, we can fake it in most settings, but there are those times where I think what it is you get into that club where everybody, all the guys are got the nice, everybody looks the same and their arms are shaved, and it's just one of those clubs, and you can't fake it enough to fit in with those people. So that I think as a redneck, you go back and go, well, listen, if I'm not, then there's only one other thing I can do. Redneck this shit up. Just start drinking, get obnoxious, and screw them all, right? I don't mean screw them all as in screw them all. So we start ordering bottles of tequila
to the table. I forget the name of that bar, but you got a bottle of tequila with that card.
Oh.
And
sorry, Miller Lite, I owe you guys some money.
No, they were. I don't remember. They weren't mad. I don't think because we spent a lot of money that night though. It was fun.
And I do not recall. I recall that the story ends with us getting kicked out, but I don't have that memory.
My recollection was we were dancing to Rihanna's Umbrella song, and you Ella'd a little too hard and knocked me into a table, and I knocked over a bottle. And next thing you know, we were out on South Beach.
Good times, good times. So that brings me back to I started therapy again on last Thursday. Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to drink liquor anymore.
I've pretty much cut it out.
I haven't been allowed to drink liquor for quite some time.
Same here. Whiskey, you know, I think I might have had a episode at a 97X event with some whiskey. I think it was actually your birthday bash, because I remember I had to get a ride home from Danielle, and I just passed out in the back of her car, that little tiny thing.
She gave me a ride. She's given me a ride home before too. I don't recall, and chances are, even if you did have an episode with whiskey at one of our functions, I'm sure it was overshadowed by whatever episode I was having with. Dude, back in those days, oh my God, man! And this is what, 05, 06, 07?
This is funny. This is funny. I will never forget May 8th, 2008. That was the day you fired me.
Oh man. May 8th, 2008.
Yep.
I should have waited till August, so at least it was 8/8/08. So May 8th, 08. You probably remember that day better than I do. I only remember looking. I only remember your face. I remember your face across the board, meaning across the studio radio board in front of me as I was
letting me know that you can't say fuck on the radio, or get pulled over in a station vehicle. I mean, there was a litany list. I didn't do you any favors.
I still feel like if my head was in a different place at the time, that because I always felt like Max was a grade A talent. You know, there's a lot of different kinds of talents in media and entertainment and this and this and this, and you find those people that even have had training, and so they have a certain kind of a talent. Can always they always hit their marks, and they know their lines and this. But there's those ones that come along. You're like, holy shit, that person is just a natural charismatic, a star, and they don't even have to try. And that was Max.
Yeah,
that is Max. And but he was also a wily, didn't give a shit. I hate to use this word.
Oh, like no, dude. That probably changed my life in way more ways than just going into television, because that got me to get my shit together. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't, you know, when we worked together, I had everyone at that radio station just telling me that I was going to be, you know what I mean? Like a decent
shit.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
We could all see it, man. Your voice, your care. I don't know. There was just whatever it was about you.
But I was 21 years old, and I did not give a shit, and I should have. But it was one of those things where, you know, if I had not lost that opportunity, and then I thought it was going to be easy to get back in radio, which.
Even after 25 years, it's not easy to get back into radio.
No, I even tried going after guys that hated you and Seth, and they didn't want to fucking touch me.
Really?
But yeah, dude. I reached out to Jesse Cage. You guys were beefing back then.
Oh yeah. So you're like, you know, F those guys. I'll come help you.
Yeah,
out.
and I even emailed Bubba, and I never heard back. So I was like, this is it.
You guys missed out. You not only would you had some, because he didn't give a shit.
No, I would have done anything too.
Yeah, and if he was pissed, then I'm glad that you didn't find a home, because you would have come after me, and that would have sucked. I wouldn't wanted that. That would have sucked.
We'd have buried the hatchet. All you guys do eventually.
Well, you and I did. So, let's go back to May 8th.
Yeah.
May 8th, 2008. You said it's a day that stands out. What do you remember from that day?
I remember getting into work early, like I did every morning with Seth, and there was two guys with suits that were really expensive. And I was like, what? And we'd been talking about, your contract was coming up, so we had been talking about moving to San Diego. And so my first thing is like, holy shit, this is San Diego. Like, damn, this is going to be an awesome day. And so I go produce a show and everything, get called in. And like I said, I did you guys no favors. I mean, I got pulled over in a station vehicle. I mean, I don't even understand.
Do you remember, was it just a ticket? Were you speeding? What was going on?
No, it was an undercover cop in an F-350 on, what's the expressway over here by downtown?
Selman?
Yeah, Selman. And he was doing under the speed limit, and when I went to pass him, he sped up. And then when I passed him, I was doing like 7 over, and he dinged me. And I even tried begging the guy, like, come on, you know, you can turn them on right now, and I'll get on the air. They'll put me on the air, and we can talk about this, you know. I was even then trying to go for content, but and get my ass out of some trouble. But it was one of those things where I had done you guys no favors. And when I came into the day before, I just started another job because radio pays awesome. And so I was telemarketing after I would do the morning show, and I guess, you know, Danielle and I were crammed in this little booth all the time, And I guess she had started complaining that I smelled like shit every morning. Like I wasn't showering or something at night. So
I don't remember that.
Dude, you guys had brought me in. That was when I slipped up and said fuck. When I forget, I think she wanted to get me cologne, and I said I'm not fucking. Who was that driver I hated so much? Dale, not Dale, fucking Jeff Gordon. I said I'm not fucking Jeff Gordon. And as soon as it came out of my mouth and I saw you hit the button, I was like, oh shit, I'm done.
Because up until that point, well, I don't.
But then you called me in, and you called me in the following morning. Like we went home, and I know you and Seth talked about it, because Seth couldn't talk to me for months. You know what I mean? Like he was devastated by having to do that, and it was hard for me to make you guys do that, man. Like I don't remember the details. I just remember that, not that I had to go to bat, but I had to go to bat for you a couple of times on stuff, and they were little things. You know, they were little things, whatever they were. And then I guess the getting a ticket thing was a big thing. That was big.
But that's big from their perspective, you know, not necessarily from mine, but from a corporate perspective, because they're like, well, he did this and then now this, and so I had to, you know, I guess put my neck out there and say, no, this guy, because it's true, man. I'm there's a part of me that, when I look back at that time, I beat myself up, and I'll play it over in my head and go, man, if I were just in a different place, and if I were a better host and a better leader, I could have saw this, and I could have taken care of this aspect for him, so he wouldn't have to even worry about that. But in the end, you're right. It's those moments that have defined
your life,
right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and the work ethic that I get now is, I was always good with you guys, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't give you guys 110% after the first few months of actually you guys giving me a little bit of airtime. But now, I mean, because of the way that everything went down like that, and like, just, it wasn't embarrassing. It was like, I really wanted to be a part of that family. You know what I mean? Like, I did everything that I could do to be a part of that up until I got in, and then I was an asshole. So getting knocked out of it, it was one of those things where it's like, man, I gotta get my shit together. Like, you can't go through life like this. Like, these guys are my friends, and they just fired me. Like, I've got to really change my shit. And from that point on, man, I mean, it's been pretty good.
May 8th, 2005. May 8th. 2008?
Yeah, I think I started you guys in 2005.
Well, I think. Well, I'm glad you're doing all right.
No,
well, I feel because the thing is about I've only run into a couple of guys like Max over the years that had this people will give me compliments on my voice, and I'm like, oh, thank you very much. I take after my father. It's my father's voice. But then I've run into a handful of people, less than a handful of people in my career, where when they start talking, I just stop. And, Max was one of those people. There is just, you're 6'3", you have this voice, way down, without even trying, it's just way down here. And then not only that, because of, I'm like, that's not fair to say because of his redneck upbringing, just to blame it all and just because you're a rural. Well, because it's easy to classify things like that, because what I want to describe about you and people like you is really that risk take, that, because we call it, not giving a shit or being a red, but it really is about being confident and taking risks in situations where other people would not even venture, whether it's jumping off the house into a pool as a kid or willing to go someplace to tell a story in your head later on. Now, he didn't have some of the just it happened. No, it happened the same way. I was young too when you first get those cracks of the whip. Where you start to learn boundaries of, I guess I can't say fuck on the radio. There's one wall, there's one line right there as we move on. So.
It'll definitely change your life if you say fuck on the radio.
Drew said, the last time I heard you weren't allowed to drink whiskey, you lost your bumper somewhere. Yeah, that rule's still in effect.
Did you find your bumper?
Somebody else did and had it. I never went over to I was so ashamed.
You and I are so alike, it's unbelievable. That I would send those people money just to not see them for 2 years.
That was 3 years ago, or it'll be 3 years this November, I think. And one of the people involved with it, I just feel so ashamed. I don't want to see them. I don't want to be in the same room as them. But
it's so weird, like you're saying.
Well, my wife just took it to the next level.
What?
It was at Elliot's wedding. She wanted to everybody know exactly when and where that happened. Did you ever meet Elliot over the years?
No.
Elliot Hoops?
No, but he is my favorite commenter when I'm watching your show. I swear to God.
I don't see him on today. He's not. He's taking the day off.
Well, let him know when next time he's on. I appreciate him.
I also he's part of the fuel that keeps this going, because here in the beginning you have a handful of people that are there for you every single day. We're at some shows we've gotten up to 1,700 views, 1,800 views, and this and that. But his consistency, him and a couple of other guys that are on there, and women as well, Danielle.
Well, he just seems like a cleaner version of me because sometimes I read stuff and I'm thinking it, but it's dirty and I'm like, shit, I can't put this out there for all his people to read. And then he'll pop it up and it's like, oh, he stuck Fisher before I did.
And he cleaned it up just enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why Liquor's off the page. But now you know what's on the list. You know what's on the list now, or on the chopping block.
Oh no, what? Really? You can't even convince her light beers?
Well, no. This is not about my wife putting this on the list. But now that I've gotten back to talking to a brain IT guy, and we're having a conversation, I'll say about anything, on the radio or in front of a therapist or on the stream, and so we started talking about how many times you've been blacked out in your life.
It's not a fair question for us. I mean,
why is it not a fair? First of all, who are us?
People like us, you and I.
It's not a fair question.
Cohen's,
okay,
the Landites.
So if we've been blacked out 100 times in our life, it's not fair to call us alcoholics. We don't suffer from alcoholism.
Suffer? Good times, Fish.
Drew goes, brain IT took me a minute. I was about to say all IT guys are alcoholics. No, that's the way I've been trying to address my mental health issues over the years on the air. Is instead of going, I'm going to therapy, I'll say I took my brain to its IT guy, or I went to my brain's IT guy, and because that's really the way you have to look at it too, because they only know so much and they can only help so much. And you have to look at them as a resource and a tool, not as somebody's going to, figure everything out for you and save you in the end.
Yeah.
So,
but he told you.
Well, we haven't gotten too deep because it's just the first session, right? So, within 30 minutes into it, there was two things that he had gotten to, and that was if you ever had any discussions about bipolar. And I was like, yeah. I even went on Lamictal for a little bit. And then I was angry. I was angry that I went on Lamictal because it's not a magic bullet. And I wasn't even confident that I suffered from bipolar.
Yeah.
And the thing, it's an anti-seizure medication. But we see that it's had some success in those people that we consider bipolar.
And if you experience any side effects such as...
The drug's so effing powerful that you have to ramp up over weeks. You have to ramp up to your dosage over weeks.
Well, isn't that any drug?
No, I mean, some drugs you start taking them.
Yeah, well, I'm not.
But I'm talking about where the first week is 0.5 and the second week is 0.1 or 1, and then so on and so forth until you get up to your dosage. Then when you come off, you can't just stop taking it. Why? Because you'll have a seizure if you just stop taking it. Ooh. So then you have to ramp yourself down. I can't remember if it was how many weeks, or I want to say it was almost 2 months.
When you start talking about medication like this is where I just want to be an animal, and if there's something wrong with me, just let me die from that. It's all the side effects and everything. It's and like I said, I just had such a bad experience with the Adderall.
How many years were you on ADD medication? Because you're younger than me. You're a part of the generation that as soon as those kids were hype, little boys were being boys. No, it's a fucking disorder. They're not boys. It's a disorder that he doesn't want to sit there in a chair for 8 fucking hours and do the same thing over and over again. It must be a disorder.
Mom was a hippie, so she did not want anything to do with that shit up until she realized that if my brother didn't get his grades up a little bit, he was going to miss out on a college scholarship or a soccer scholarship. So all of a sudden it was like, whatever. He's going on it. I'll try it. I was probably in my sophomore year of college because I did freshman year in Daytona. So yeah, then I came over here to work with you guys. So I started right before I got on the show with you guys.
Okay, so you didn't grow up on it.
No. Not. I mean, I knew plenty of kids growing up on Ritalin and stuff like that. But back when you took Ritalin, it was at least growing up for me. It was the kid in the corner of the classroom that was just a zombie at that point when he had it, and then when he didn't have it, he was off the wall. You know what I mean? Like, and so that's all it was. Like, it was like, oh, if you want to take this, you're going to be a zombie. That's whatever, And that's basically what it does to guys like you and me. Like, people use that stuff as party drugs, but when you take
so funny.
When you take it and you need it, it does none of that for you.
The first time that I realized that, I was on a cruise. And then you meet a couple of girls, right? And, the people were with a group of guys, and we meet a couple of girls, and you get talking. So I bring up that. They're like, oh, you have Adderall? I was like, yeah, come back to I got Adderall. Are you guys ADD too? Because I was naive. When it came to drugs for the most part. And so we go back to my room, and next thing you know, they're popping open the little thing,
crushing up those little balls
and snorting. And I'm just going, oh my God, what are you doing? Because for them, it's more like cocaine.
Yeah,
it's going to keep you up and partying all night. For me, it's just going to make me focus.
It's a synthetic cocaine, so it's coke without waking up feeling like shit and having a stuffed nose. So,
yeah. Well, I don't know how they woke up. All right, Max. Let's see. Before I let you go, where's your next stop? You're in town just for a short period of time, right?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go run over and see my boys over at Sunwolf Lighting and Grip. They're at the shop today. Go say hey to them, and then I'm gonna try to see some family on my way out of town. And
so everything you're doing these days is Minnesota based?
I fly home for work. My buddy Chris Crum, he's out of Orlando. He does the same thing that I do. He's like, kind of a savant. Before he got into this, he had his own landscaping business, but it turned from landscaping to maintenance to everything. So when it comes to on set, when we need to build, it sounds really weird, but if we ever just need to whip up a CO2 cannon, which sounds crazy, but we almost had to do that last week. Chris is the guy, you know what I mean? So
what do you mean whip up a CO2 cannon? So you guys need to shoot like a t-shirt cannon.
Confetti, yeah, or like I had a confetti cannon fail on me last week doing this job for a giant toy company that I probably shouldn't have even said that. But we did a job for them and my cannons failed. And they were like, well, how fast is there something that we can do is there a way you can make this? And it's, it'll take me 2.5 hours and I need to go to Home Depot and run and buy a giant bottle of CO2. But yeah, we can do this, we'll figure it out.
It's a damn shame because White Trash Wizards was just so perfect,
dude. If it made, really, and not to get like deep and everything because I don't want to do that with you. That'd be awful unless we start talking about like really fun stuff.
What do you mean get deep? Get deep about what?
The reason that I really wanted to get away from it was Charlottesville. Once that was really the thing that turned me off to it, where I was like, well, this is how people see me. Shit.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So,
but it's interesting because I
still waited 3 months, but
because a lot of people would have doubled down on that moment and said, no, that's not what White Trash Wizard is, and I'm sticking by this, and that this is my. But you had the wherewithal to kind of step back and go,
yeah, but
I'm not going to get hired if.
When I tried to do that though, I sounded like one of those assholes. Like, this is not what this means. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So it was like it was a lose-lose situation, man. I mean, like, I love that name. I'll have it. Yeah. Tucked away somewhere, you know what I mean? My brother and I still on the website. There's nothing on it at the moment, but we'll figure it out.
I didn't even think the wizard part too.
Yeah, exactly.
Has you can connect a racial dot to wizard as well,
and especially once they find out you're from DeLand, and it's
and then you talk like this, yeah, and you fly the Florida flag, which is basically the stars and just the bars.
Yeah, it's just the bars. That's the one thing. Like my wife made me take that down too after she found out that people asked me that on set. She was like, "Can you take this out of our front window on our front porch?" I was like, "Why? Like, no one's gonna mess with us." Yeah. Like.
Well, how much of your identity do you attach to being a Floridian anymore? Now, I know when you're younger days.
No, it's still 100%, bro. I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, this is just a time for me. Like, I love Minneapolis. I really do. I like the city. It's a blast, especially in the spring and summer. But it's just another one of those journeys in life, man. Like when my dad died, 18 months ago or so. it was just one of those things where I was like, I need some sort of change right now. And I'd already been thinking about it. And I probably should have chose Atlanta, like career wise, because Minneapolis, they're losing their snowbait, which is basically the same incentive that they had, like Florida used to have films come and make their, be filmed down here. They're losing that as well. So I'm plugged into the right people in Minneapolis, but, and I love it up there. But
and you've got to be you're a character. You're an anomaly. When they're talking to you, of course, they're thinking one thing immediately. Then they get to know you.
They sent this little girl in while my brother and I were building the set. She's like, young, right out of college, and she's supposed to be just doing paperwork for people. And she comes in and literally asks my brother and I who we voted for. Like, I was like,
based on your accents.
Yes. And I was like, what does that matter with anything? She's like, oh, it's just a topic of discussion in the office right now. And I was like, oh.
Well, she's a conniving little young lady.
I liked her a lot better. I went out there and I was like, well, why is this a topic of conversation? Like, what does it matter?
The topic of conversation or who you guys voted for. They wanted to make sure that they didn't have some crazy white supremacist Trump supporters.
Yes. And it is super liberal up there. I mean, like,
The funny thing is, you're a liberal guy.
Yeah, exactly. But as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little bit more conservative, but not like...
Only when it comes to money.
Exactly.
That matters of money. Other than that, you're very socially liberal.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing is, I thought my personality would have played that off, because I had worked with these people for 3 years by the time that conversation came up. So it was like, why? I understand why it came up, because of Trump and the election and everything was going on. But
isn't it funny how those people that consider themselves so progressive and they're better than everybody else because they don't judge, automatically know who you are based on the way that you talk, the words you use.
Because I can't say oil without actually thinking about saying it. When I say I changed my oil, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you're totally basing shit off the fact that I cannot speak right.
Which is exactly what the smartest people in America, academia, and they all are saying that we shouldn't do is to people of color. But if you're white and you speak like that, then we can judge you, because that's
shifty.
fair.
First off, you're shifty. You can't say oil without thinking about it. There's something wrong with you.
Dude, when I was a teenager, I was dating a girl from Rhode Island, and her family came to town, and I was also a lifeguard. So they were asking about I guess they were getting advice because they were heading to the beaches or something. And of course I don't remember the exact details. I just remember at some point I go, because they're pasty white coming from Rhode Island. And I guess I said something to the effect is, whatever you do, don't put on any oil. Yeah. You want a sunscreen that don't put it on the oil. And also in my younger days, I had much more of an accent. I've lost the accent over the years.
Well, you got paid a lot of money to talk about products for a couple of years. You know what I mean? Like, and longer than a couple of years. So there's a reason, again, that you clean up your stuff so you can make that money. Yeah.
But that goes back to my somewhere around 12, 13 years old, 14 years old. I had an epiphany that if I wanted to be successful, that I couldn't talk like the people around me. That I had to clean it up a little bit. Because if you talk to my brother, not that Jason is as thick as you, but he's close.
Well, and I don't, sometimes I was just having this conversation with my buddies the other night, like I don't hear it until I'm up there. And then like sometimes when I say stuff, I'm like, man, do I do that is this like, why don't I talk like everyone else? You know what I mean? Like, because I'm surrounded by other people that have these, hater guys, we got a nor'easter coming out of the clipper. It's going to drop 12 inches tonight. It's going to be great.
So you got it in. You're just not trying hard enough.
No, I know. But like, you look around and, it's one of the weird and great things about the United States of America, because it sucks that we all don't know more languages. Like in Europe, where if you live in France, well, you're going to go to Germany, so you might as well learn a little German. You're going to be over here. We all speak the same language, but it is cool to see the dialects. Like I've only grown up in the South, and I've only watched movies about, like where you hear the Bostons or the
Why? Because when you hear the Southern accent a lot in a movie, even growing up, there was a stigma. I grew up in Florida. My brother sounds more like you than he does like me. But when I hear somebody on television, they're talking like, there's also two different, there's the Southern drawl,
yeah,
And there's lazy mouth. There's redneck mouth.
Yeah, marble mouth. Yeah.
Marble mouth.
Yeah.
Fishing to go fishing.
Yeah. Or you can combine words. Fitting it, exactly.
Yeah. But when I hear that, I automatically, I guess I'm bigoted in that moment because they do come down a couple notches as far as how I perceive them intellectually. And so then they have to earn that back up, which I'm sure you have to do. But on the other hand, you can use that as an advantage too, because people underestimate you.
Yeah.
You're just to some simple folk from D-Land, Florida, and little do they know you're a hustling, wheeling, dealing MFer.
Yeah, but at the same time, I can walk into a conversation where I know I'm about to ask for something ridiculous for a TV show. And as soon as I walk up and if I hear any hint of that accent, I'm like, oh, I'm golden. I don't even have to try on this one. We're good. I'm just going to explain to this guy exactly what I'm doing and why I need to cut his tree out of his yard so I can go plant it in front of this house for a movie. You know what I mean? Like,
so you're saying this accent, if I hear somebody else that accent, I know I'm going to be able to connect with that person like that, and I don't have to break down those initial barriers of strangerdom.
Yes. And that's when as you hear that and you're like, hey, fifth generation Volusia County. And then the next thing you know, I got whatever I need out of this, because you know what I mean? Oh, you're just a good old boy trying to make it in Hollywood.
Yeah, but do they come back to you later on and you have to show up to a Klan meeting or?
No, I've had to give people tours of set. Yeah, and well, I mean, some places have huge, issues with that. But if I explain to them, hey, the whole reason we have your favorite piece that's in this whole set is because of this guy, they're like, oh, all right, whatever, fuck it, he can take a look.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Max Cooper, for stopping by. I really
Dude, it's been a blast, Fisher.
It was great to have you on. Thanks for bringing by the beers. It was great to have this conversation and to get your advice on on what I should do with the show. And
just flag that light, bro.
I'll just flag that light. I don't even know what that means, but I'll go tell somebody that does know what that means.
Exactly.
Flag the light just means put a cover on it so it doesn't glare that, or that means put it in a different place so it doesn't bounce off the TV?
Flag that light means so you're going to put a little cover that's going to look over the top of that light so the light still hits me but does not hit your TV, so it won't glare.
All right. Any other piece of advice?
Just keep hustling, man. I'm literally. I know this is about to get weird, but I'm really proud of you for doing this. It's fun to watch it grow. I'm really excited for what you got going on in the future, man. And that's one of the reasons I want to come by today and just say that it's been awesome watching this happen, man. And I'm excited for where it's going to go next.
Thank you very much. And I couldn't do this without the people here at Bakemore Pies, Courts, Owen, and Sam Miller, and everybody else here. So thank you so much. We'll do this again tomorrow. If I'm on time, everything goes well, we'll fire this bad boy up at 11:11 and get out of here about 12:12. Thank you so much for being part of the Wake.Show.
Later.